And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, Director at WEIU. My guest making her annual trek over, Angelia Burgett from Mattoon Tourism Director, Bagelfest 2025.
Hello. Good afternoon, I guess it is, isn't it?
Yes, it is afternoon here today. Well, appreciate you coming in today, Angelia, on Bagelfest week. I guess we should start with this weekend was a crazy weekend in Mattoon. So were you nervous with the water stuff going on that maybe something was going to have to change or anything about the Bagelfest?
We were working towards, we had alternative plans in motion. It was going to be a lot of work and a lot of, it's a lot of extra, a lot of unplanned extra. Making sure that we had water for our vendors, making sure we had, plenty of extra bottled water, that kind of thing. So we are relieved. Although I will say, just like anything that Mattoon does, and this is my opinion, not growing up there, but having been in Mattoon for a long time, it's just cool when people come together, and watching Mattoon just step up to help each other was pretty cool.
That's good. So cool. Yeah. So it is Bagelfest week. For people who don't know, it's the 40th year. So give us a little background and how we got from 40 years ago to today.
So the story goes that that lenders came to Mattoon to make bagels, and bagels in the 80s were not the thing that we think of now. They weren't as common. Certainly were not in your refrigerator the way that the lenders' hooks were working on. And so when they came to town, they had a free bagel breakfast, and it was downtown, and I was not in Mattoon at the time, but the stories are and the pictures are tables and tables and tables of folks eating bagels for free, and really just introduced this concept of a bagel to the community. And so out of that, I think some people had a really good idea that let's make a festival out of this idea of a bagel. And it's even now when I go places and people say Bagelfest, Mattoon, what is that? How does that work? It's just shocking that there's all these bagels. In fact, more bagels that are made than anywhere else in the world are made in Mattoon. So it makes very good sense that there's a Bagelfest in Mattoon. Plus, I think it's a demonstration of what was hospitality to a community from the lender's family, from the plant. And now we try to do the same thing in the festival.
Okay. If you could ask Murray Linder something, I know he passed away, a long time ago. What would you ask him, now that if he could have solved 40 years of Bagelfest?
A few years ago, we had the lender's family in, and it was sort of a resurgence of the lender's logo was new. There was like a retro feel back to the packaging, and I got to spend a little bit of time with the lender's family, and got the sweetest note from Mrs. Linder about sort of just how important it was to her that this thing that Murray had been a part of still existed as a festival. I would love probably more to thank him than to ask him anything, because and maybe the question is, are we doing this right? Could we do anything better? Because we want to honor that legacy for sure.
Okay. Any other challenges as you were preparing and planning and doing all your research for the 2025 Bagelfest?
Well, there is always a challenge with entertainment. This does not get easier. I think I say this every single year. So this is my 20th, and I honestly, it just gets harder.
And what do you think, because of cost and stuff?
Well, there's a combination of factors. Something that's kind of new. Certainly the costs have always been on the rise, and the costs have gotten almost prohibitive in some ways. If you're going to sell tickets in a small venue, it's hard. It's very difficult. But one thing that's really interesting, and it's a good thing, bad thing, is that Central Illinois is like this wild hub of entertainment right now, more than it's ever been in the 20 years I've been around. And I've had other people in the industry tell me the same thing, because we have something in Effingham and Champaign and Peoria and Bloomington, and we're just... Terre Haute has a new place.
Decatur has Styx is playing on a Wednesday there in September.
It's just wild to me. And, we see this on a localized level. The amount of things happening specifically in Mattoon and Coles County is this it's tripled what it was a few years ago. The same thing's happening across Central Illinois. And so our battle for getting who we want, being able to afford to compete with other things going on. Certainly there's other concerts going on when we're doing them this week, and getting people's attention. And so it's still the biggest hill to climb.
All right, were the pageants still last weekend, correct?
Correct. Saturday.
Saturday, and then tomorrow night is the baby pageant. So
yes.
Review or propose, talk about those.
So this year the Bagel Baby has moved to Riddle, and so that has moved from, it used to be the Cross County Mall, so now it's moved to Riddle. And because of the space, they're able to do both of the younger babies and the older babies. That sounds weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But all the babies get to be seen that night, and there is nothing more lovely and chaotic than the Bagel Baby, because people are so tickled with their own children. And then also, from my perspective, how they dress up for the event is the best. It's the best. If you've ever just wanted to be excited about these little kids I haven't seen what kids are going to be wearing this time, but I'm assuming cowboy boots because it's Wild West Bagel Fest this year. I would assume there's going to be cowboy hats. A few years ago, we had a more of a Star Wars type of theme. We had every character from the Star Wars, trilogy, and it was amazing. And the effort parents put into it. So it's a good time. Even if you don't have kids, it's fun. And then we go into Wednesday night. We have the carnival opens up. And we have more armband nights this year than we've ever had. Just giving people an opportunity both during the day and during the evening to bring their kids out. And I would note that our carnival armband pre-sale ends Wednesday at noon. You save $5 a ticket, and that while supplies last. So if you've got a bunch of kids, you might want to do it today instead of waiting until Wednesday, because those do sell out sometimes.
That's good. I want to talk a little bit, about Thursday, July 17th, the free Christian concerts out there. Megan Woods, I don't know much about her. Can you talk about Megan and the people that make this thing happen for a free Christian concert Thursday at Bagelfest?
Yeah, so we, many years ago, there was a Christian concert before I was involved in Bagelfest. There used to be a Christian concert. There was tickets sold and that kind of thing. And then it went away for a while. And then we had a lot of folks come back to us and say, hey, we'd really love to see that come back. And so through that, we got support from churches. WBGL out of Champaign supports us. They're really focused on the entertainment.
Isn't local radio so great?
It is so great. Well, it also, and you know this from your many, many years in radio, it's the way people connect. We would not have the turnout for the Thursday night without BGL being connected to that, because those are their people. And those are people who are looking for family-friendly entertainment, which this certainly is. She has a very well-known song called The Truth. It is resonating with a lot of young girls, especially, I think, but universally just resonating with people about what is reality versus what the world tells you is reality. And I think that's a lesson for all of us. So I expect big things out of Thursday night.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Friday night, Everclear. I know Ramin, who's producing the show, has already got his tickets. He's excited in there. Yeah, so talk
That's
about
the enthusiasm I want to see.
Yes, he's pumped up in there. Look at him. So talk about Everclear and what it took to get those guys here. They're a rock band.
Yeah, so for many years we've had a tribute act on Saturday night, our biggest country act on Friday night, and our Christian act on Thursday. And we've kind of had a good run with that. But then we've noticed that other places are picking up a lot of tribute acts. We said, let's see what we can do differently. So we stepped out of that and went to talk about what we could do we've ended up with 90s country and 90s rock, and that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
So Everclear was just trying to reach a different audience. I think they're going to be fun. We got X Crush opening up with them, which is, to me, very old school from the beer tent days of Bagelfest. So I think there's a lot of enthusiasm around Everclear coming to town.
Yeah. And by the way, we'll play an Everclear song and a Josh Turner song right after the show. So if you want to hear those two artists coming to Bagelfest, they'll be back to back after the show. Now, I will tell you my story about Josh Turner.
Okay.
I know who Josh Turner is. I know the Long Black Train or whatever it is. I know a couple other songs. But my son, Derek, who's a country music fan, goes, Dad, you don't realize how big of a get this is for Mattoon. And I'm looking
love that.
Where did you come up with that? He goes, I'm just
get.
telling you, it's a big get.
Yeah.
So talk about the big get, Josh Turner.
Well, he was our priority from the get-go. We're looking for what resonates with our audience. And we have found that we can bring newer country in, but it doesn't resonate with our audience as much as somebody like Josh Turner, who has a very long list of hits. Also, and I've said this a few times, so forgive me if anybody's heard this before, he's aged like a fine wine, and the ladies are excited. They just are. And so he's going to be everything he's been before. Like, the voice is still exactly
that low voice.
there.
Yeah, he's got a great low voice.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. We had a lot of outside visitors coming for Josh Turner for sure.
My next question exactly was, how are ticket sales for the two that
Really strong, really strong. We're doing a little bit different system this year. We've gone to all online until we get to the park, and so it's one of those things that everybody has adjusted beautifully, which sounds maybe silly in some regards, but we've always been trying to do the best for our community. What's the ways people want to engage with us, and so this has turned out to be a little bit of a change year, but all for the good.
So if you're just catching up, Megan Woods Christian concert on Thursday. Friday is Everclear the Rock Band, and then country star the Big Get Josh Turner on Saturday.
I'm going to quote him on that. I like that.
I love it.
I like that. That's very good.
I looked at him like, all right, but it was funny. Also, there's lots of other things that go on with Bagel Fest. Probably some people say you haven't even talked about the breakfast yet, but let's just start with Wednesday. What the other things that are happening Wednesday? We'll go through the other days.
So the Bagel Bow Wow contest, which has been around almost as long as the full festival's been around, and Bernie DeBure, after 30 years, said, I think I'm going to take a break. God bless him. He's still going to show up to judge, but the Doggy Depot is the sponsor. They did it last year, so they're running things, and I think they've got. It's just like new eyes, putting new eyes on something, trying something new, and we moved it. Many years ago, it was in the afternoon on Saturday, which turned out to be like the hottest part of the weekend.
Yeah.
Not ideal for dogs, so we've got it on Wednesday evening instead in the band shell.
That's cool.
Yeah.
The carnival and vendors all open on Wednesday as well?
So the carnival opens up on Wednesday, and a handful of vendors will be open, but the vendors officially open on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I noticed last night a couple people already posted pictures. The park's already turning into.
It's happening. Yeah. I mean, it's quite an undertaking to get all the whole thing set up. So yeah, we start getting people usually sometimes Saturday, but definitely on Sunday.
Okay. So Thursday, go through some of the stuff on Thursday we can count on.
So Carnival opens up 6 to 11 with the armband night from 6 to 10. Bingo in the DeMar Center, which is the air-conditioned spot in the park, if you want to take advantage of that. And I'm asked this question often, 25 cents a game. Kids can play. Kids can't win without an adult. People ask me that all the time, so I want to just throw that in.
Get the word
there.
out there.
Yeah. Vendors are open at 5, so you can come out and get your corn dog or your lemon shake-up. And then, of course, Megan Woods is on stage at 8. The gates open at 6, and it's free, no ticket. You just need a lawn chair or a blanket or something like that. And the cool thing we've done the last couple of years with the Christian concert is because it's a lot of families coming in and we don't have chairs set up. They're just coming in with their lawn chairs and blankets. We have games for the kids. So there's activities happening. So coming in at 6 o'clock doesn't mean you're just going to sit your chair down and have nothing to do. The kids can play. There's just activity and a lot of good energy there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Friday with Everclear capping the night. What all this same thing? Carnival and all the vendors thing.
Yeah. So the carnival opens it's open from 1 to 10, and the armband we have 1 to 5 and 5 to 10. So if you were to get your separate armband ticket, so to speak, you can do one of those slots with that ticket.
Okay.
Vendors open at 1. Band shell, we're at the community band. They're playing from 5 to 7. Bingo in the DeMar Center again, and then Everclear takes the stage.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Any new vendors? Any new food wise? Anything new? Or
a lot of our classic folks are back, and so I would say it's more about going and getting that thing that you've been like. It's been on your list. I would go get your tacos from La Luna's food truck, or go get your House of Brisket. I don't know. We've got the luxury of having some really good food vendors, and so I'm happy to see them all return.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, I know there's the run kind of kicks it off. Is that correct?
So you're saying you're running? Is that what you're saying?
Not quite yet. I'm getting closer.
Maybe next year. So Run for the Bagel, and the YMCA does a tremendous job with this. I know that this year they have got at least, I want to say they're expecting 400 to 450 folks.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, so it tends to be the place where people like, oh, I did that last year and I did this time, so I'm going to come back in and see if I can do better this. And so it's more of a traditional part of the festival for lots of folks. And we know we do have people come to town specifically to do that with family, which is kind of fun. The world's biggest bagel breakfast in DeMar Center from 7:30 to 9:30. The parade is at 10:30, and we give people a chance to get from the breakfast. If they're going to be in the parade, they can get lined up. Vendors open by 11, and then the carnival opens up at noon.
Now, in the parade, I was reading. I think I read somewhere on your website. You want people to kind of set up on one side of the street or the other. Or?
So we've had some, just trying to fine tune everything. We've had some issues with folks being too sitting up their chairs with their families too deep into the parade lineup. And what it causes is a lot of delay, and honestly, we worry about kids getting out in the street for things. So we've asked folks to go. 21st and Western is where it actually starts. So anything beyond that, going on towards Broadway, is where we'd prefer people to sit.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
It's best for everybody, really.
Yeah, and I had a question. You might not be able to answer this for the world's biggest breakfast on a bagel breakfast on Saturday morning out there at DeMar's. How many bagels do they actually bring? And you can't just say a truckload, okay?
No.
Any idea,
well, it's changed because there were many years that there were individual bagels, and they just don't make those anymore. So now we're giving out sleeves of bagels. So you're going home with some bagels, which is great. So I know this is going to be vague, but somewhere between 20,000 and 25,000 bagels.
No, I just think
but that
check-
may shift a little bit with how many sleeves,
Yeah.
So that's
a lot of bagels.
It is a lot of bagels.
There you go.
It's for sure a lot of bagels.
So I wasn't going to let you off with just a truckload.
No, I mean,
so 20 to 25,000 gives us an idea.
it's a good place to aim, I guess, roughly, right?
Yep. A powerlifting event this year.
So we've had this for the last, let's see, three years. Relentless Fitness out of Mattoon does it, and they're just having a good time. And even if this isn't your jam, it's fun to watch. People are cheering each other on. There's that kind of thing. These folks also show up in the parade, and if you're on the sidelines, you're going to get sucked into being, doing some weights on the float and everything. They're having a good time. But on the same note, they take it very seriously. Like it's. They're very safety conscious, and these are folks who have some lifting experience typically, and they're spotting and there's safety precautions too, but they are having fun.
What do you get asked the most? Like, when you're on the out to coffee later on, or whatever, what does Angelia get asked the most about Bagel Fest?
Entertainment, I think, is probably, it's less about what I'm asked specifically, but more like, wouldn't it be nice if you brought Taylor Swift? You know? Yes, it would. It's such a more complicated, there's so many more complicated parts to it, and I always think, well, I love that you care. So, how we choose our entertainment is probably the biggest topic.
And you immediately go into working on next year's in a couple weeks, right?
Well, and honestly, usually this isn't like a set in stone thing, but usually during the festival, one of us will come up with next year's theme.
Oh, really?
Something will bubble. I don't know. It's like something in the magic of the park or something, but we usually come up with a theme, and we have enough people who've been doing this for a long time that we start to go, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? And it's kind of a fun thing.
So the Wild West, where'd that come from? I mean, were you just sitting there with you saw a bunch of cowboy boots?
Well, we understand how fun it is for, especially young girls. I say young girls like in their 30s, because that's young to me now. They get their cowboy boots on. They got their cowboy hats on. They're coming out to see Josh Turner. It's an event. We can't be Nashville, but it is that Nashville vibe of people just getting dressed up as an occasion to go and hear music and, be kind of fun. It's kind of cheeky or whatever,
Good answer.
Yeah.
Park rules, people to abide by, please.
There's no smoking in the park. Don't bring a dog, especially if there is we have social issues. That's the only time I've hardly ever seen that happen, but once in a while it happens, and nobody wants to be involved in that from a dog owner standpoint or from a public standpoint. We do have alcohol available for purchase inside the concert venue for Friday and Saturday night, but we ask you not to bring alcohol to the park. It just is a recipe for trouble.
Okay. Now, you know what I'm going to ask you next?
Yes.
Because last year you said this is Jeff. Next year's 40.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll have an answer for you. So, world's biggest bagel update. We haven't done it forever.
No, but here's the update. There actually is one.
Okay, there is an update.
There is one. Okay. So, there was an effort to try to create the world's largest bagel in an actual bagel, and we didn't get as much traction on that in time to get that going. There's been some changes at the plant, and that just happened. But downtown, right now, there's somebody building us a sign. It's going to be in Progress Square, which is next to the first mural in Mattoon. It actually is much closer to where Murray Linder presented the actual world's largest bagel, and there's going to be a sign there that should be completed this week for people to take pictures. There's a place for people to sit, just to commemorate what we think is a pretty important milestone.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's not a bagel you can eat, but it's a bagel that's,
the recognition of the historic moment.
Yeah.
No, I'll live with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So. I did take a sneak peek at that W word, which is weather.
Yes.
It's not going to be really, really extremely hot, knock on wood, which is good news. There is a chance of that R word, which we don't like to say either. But if you look at the forecast looks like it'll be a little bit cooler.
Yeah, well, certainly not what we've been experiencing the last week or two. I know there's going to be some humidity in the air, but once we get to the evening, a lot of times I think that it's not as big an issue. So we're feeling pretty good about it. We're always cautious of weather, but changes so dramatically from in several days. So feel okay about it right now.
Will you have water stations and everything in case it does get warmer in the past?
We're working on getting some of those things together. We're mostly up to this point we've been working on having water. So
I get it. Yeah, that is true. That was the topic of the weekend if you were at Coles County for sure. Do you set goals for your staff and for your when you look at preparing for a 40th Bagel Fest? Do you set goals?
We I think, are always conscious of being relevant. I think that's the biggest key, and it comes out in different ways. But when you do something for so many years, and you're doing it in a relatively small town, and how do you keep attention, especially in light of what I shared earlier about all these events happening in Central Illinois? How do we continue to be getting people's attention and being relevant to them about that they want to spend some time in Mattoon at the park? So that's probably more what it's about. We talk about. We're always from sort of the back end of things, streamlining ticket sales, for example, this year. How can we get better and more efficient at what we're doing? So there's a capacity issue that we talk about.
And it appears this year, not knowing that much about Megan Woods, but she has a really a big song out in the Christian there. And you got two big name acts coming in, so really back to back to back, big names in the music industry coming to Mattoon. That helps your relevancy, I would assume.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where we know we're always. I think we have to accept some of the competition that we're in. Like, for example, there's Edgar County Fair. Sometimes we fall into the same timeline as the Champaign County Fair. So we're just doing our best to make sure that, even if there's other things happening, are we getting people's attention? Yeah.
Are you in the need of more volunteers? You have enough volunteers? Have enough people signed up for any of the events? Or what should anybody want to do?
We would always take more volunteers. I think probably one of the places that is the most in need is the Mattoon YMCA Run for the Bagel. Just because there's always, people need to watch people in the streets, cheer people on, that kind of thing. That's probably the first place I would.
And if there are that many numbers, there's a lot of people going to be running on the road on Saturday morning in Mattoon. How would you describe your leadership style as now that you've got 20 years in as the tourism director? What's your leadership style?
I don't know if this is considered a leadership style exactly, but I want to empower people that I work with to do the things that they do well and let them go, and supervise as needed, but don't micromanage people. I don't. There's no value in it. I like to set, like right now we have 3 people on in staff on our office, but we also have lots of volunteers too. But it's like I set a vision, and then Mindy comes along and says, this is how we're going to do it. And then Kara comes along and says, this is how we're going to tell people about it. And we kind of have this thing going. And I've had other groups before, and we kind of all find our rhythm, and then we figure it out from there.
Is social media made it easier to get the word out about all the details of Bagel Fest, or does it make it harder because people have the option to then complain about it more? That's what we saw this weekend.
I think you kind of have to run with the negative. There's going to be people out there that have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, but are going to talk about it anyway. That's unfortunately what we saw this weekend, of course, too. It does make it a place where people are probably going to land in some part, but the scope of media is so diverse that, back in, many, probably 30 years ago when I was working for McDonald's and doing marketing for them, you just did these 3 things. Yeah. And then they needed maybe 4. And then all of a sudden, now there's, 10 different ways to get to people, and you don't know where they're spending their time 100%. So you kind of keep throwing information at them and hope it all sticks.
One of the things that used to always happen, there was a gigantic softball tournament. That's kind of because of the dates of softball tournaments and their nationals. That's kind of went away. It's kind of a sad thing because Mattoon's always been known for baseball and softball.
Yeah, but timing is not on our side for that anymore. I would anticipate in the future that there will be things happening at Emerald Acres that will sort of bring that back around in a way. But last year was our first year without it, and I really thought, we're going to see a difference, and we really didn't. So it kind of, I know that the hotels did just as well. It's just different people. Like, I know in the past we'd say to people, if you're coming to Mattoon, you better get a hotel in February because it's going to be booked by all these softball teams. And since that changed, it kind of opened up for other people. So we didn't feel it as much as I had feared we might.
Have you heard from a lot of people that are coming from far away or I know the class of 2005's having theirs this week. Is other class reunions or?
I haven't heard from class reunions specifically, but we've heard from a lot of folks who are, last year was kind of the same thing. It's a lot of people who've never been before. Like, something has gotten their attention this year from not that far away, but Decatur, Bloomington, Peoria, Champaign. We actually have quite a few from Decatur and Champaign. And then Terre Haute. We're seeing that people who aren't always coming to Bagelfest or have never been before are interested this year. Anything
else about Bagel Fest that we missed or you wanted to talk about? I mean, we have about 2.5, 3 minutes left here with Angelia Burgett from Mattoon Tourism.
Well, I will show you real quickly. I know it doesn't totally translate in every circumstance, but it is the Wild West Bagel Fest. And so we do have these pretty cool shirts. And what I want to really show is the sponsors, because it's unbelievable. I say this sincerely. Every year it gets better. And you think there's so many things going on. How can we possibly get that kind of support? And we are just really blessed. And I will say the same thing happens at Lightworks. Mattoon's just extraordinarily supportive of the things we do. And I will also say, in light of it being the 40th anniversary, that we do have special sweatshirts this year, which are very hot items. So if you're interested in that, don't wait.
All right.
Don't wait.
You brought props. That's very nice.
Well, once in a while.
There you go. That's cool. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit, we didn't touch on parking. Because I know there's only so much
I would say just parking around. There's if you're willing to walk, there's parking as far down as the mall, which in reality is not that far if you're able to do that. We do have parking around the park at the St. John's Lutheran, and there are places like that. So there's parking lots that are available. We don't have a dedicated space.
Okay. All right, let's ask some unrelated but funny, maybe bagel-ish questions, all right? How many bagels will you pass out Saturday? You specifically. Are you in there at all?
Oh, at breakfast, I'm not.
Okay.
What we do, though, with entertainment, no entertainer gets away without getting bagels. And so there will be probably a case from our end that goes out to folks. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So far, have these two bands, or really three bands, been easy to work with?
Yes,
okay, cool.
Very easy to work with, and we have we've had a good relationship with we have a new vendor that's supplying our found our entertainment, gets our contracts ready, and that kind of thing. And so one of the things that's been great about that is that they've been able to say, hey, we've worked with these guys before, they're good, they're easy to work with, they're not fussy, and so that's helpful.
There you go.
Yeah.
What is your personal favorite Bagelfest topping?
Oh, just butter and cream cheese. I'm
really?
Toasted.
Plain cream cheese?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, just wondering.
Okay.
How many parade entries so far?
I think we're about at 100 or so. It's at last count it was around 100.
What do you think
honestly,
you'll end up at?
I'm going to say 125.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now Sunday, when it's all over, what will you do Sunday? Anything?
Sunday's not really over. Sunday the park is closed, but that's when we go in and just make sure everything's out of the park that needs to be, making sure everything's cleaned up as much as is our responsibility, making sure that's done. And then it's funny is that for me as far as like reporting and things, Monday morning really starts a brand new, for
clean slate,
the park
right?
It's over, but for me it's there's a good few weeks before I'm really done with Bagelfest. So.
Favorite all-time Bagelfest act?
I have to tell you, Mark Martell. Somebody, I think we were talking about that. He got another cheer. Yep. He was the most extraordinary musician and vocalist that I've ever listened to, and I got the privilege of hearing some of it at the back end too.
Angelia, it's always great to talk to you this once a year on WEIU. Appreciate it so much.
All right, thank you.
Everybody have a great day. Here we're gonna have a little Josh Turner and Everclear on Hit Mix. We are WEIU.